So the magnificence of this life is that there is only one, and we are that one. We are joined in and as that one. And yet we are simultaneously having a completely unique experience of life. We have learned to search for the one and to make wrong the uniqueness, the sense of the unique character and individuality. And when we are in that conditioned sense of making wrong, criticizing, judging the uniqueness, that habit overshadows the absolute natural and glorious connection to the one, unquestionable, undivided belonging to the one. And so what we are opening to is the recognizing through the intelligence of our consciousness, the belonging to the one, what we are in true essence nature. And then as a result of that deep knowing of what we belong to and where we are being resourced and animated from, that we live in a holy celebration of our uniqueness and our innate goodness and the beauty that we are. That we see through all of the habits of dividing and limiting the life. And we restore the natural connection that has never been divided. There's never been any separation or limitation. And it's about restoring our deep, resonant remembrance of this so that we can live from this essence, true nature, to be the light, to be the love, and to be that light that illuminates everything in our unique experience that feels to not be the light, everything in our unique experience that feels to not be lovable, that we're completely wired as an intelligence to restore balance and harmony in our own lived experience. And as we restore balance and harmony in our lived experience, we restore the remembrance of union in the heart. And as we restore the remembrance of union in the heart, we remember that that union is a unified field, is a field that has never been divided. That the field is a field of presence, a field of God and glory, a field of truth, a field of light. And it's a field of revelation and transmission. It's a field of activation. And it's not a field of ideas and concepts and systems. And yet it is a field of natural intelligence. We are made of that intelligence. That's the consciousness that we are. And as we open to this great glorious revelation, we open to remember through resonance and frequency the intelligence that we are. And we start accessing pure knowledge. We start accessing a pure knowledge where the essential knowing is just of the true nature, The essential knowing is of myself, of the simple being that I am is, right? So as these words come, it's never about learning something. It's never about understanding with the mind. It's allowing that activation and attunement to happen in the intelligence of consciousness, where remembering happens in the subtle perception of the intelligence itself, like an inner illumination that brings online through the attunement a remembrance and a deeper sense of knowing through simply being, a knowing through simply being. And so just being here, just being here now. Opening to the sense of your own presence. It starts to feel as my presence, unique presence, and just in the stillness and silence of presence itself. Presence starts to recognize that the intelligence is indicating that presence is present to itself. We could say awareness is awake and aware of itself. And is awake and aware of itself just simply being, just being here. An awake presence that is just simply here, being here. Simple and natural and free. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As we open to be awake and aware of presence, the sense of the individuality and the unique sense of my presence seems to naturally open to a field of presence, a field of silent presence that is awake and aware of itself, just simply being here. Mm. The stillness, the silence, the simplicity of just being. Nothing to do, nowhere to get to. Just the radiant, awake awareness of being here. And the light of consciousness awake to itself, illuminating and revealing a deeper sense of yourself, of the self, beyond the unique sense of character or personal, of individuality, an opening to a wideness and expansiveness, deep, deep relaxation. Mm. an exhalation. And in the exhalation, a natural letting go into the flow of surrender, an openness, a willingness to be taken. That in that sense of division, of the sense of the personal, seeking for the one, the sense of the personal has a sense of doership. What do I do? How do I do it? How can I get there? When in truth it is about this deep relaxation and exhalation into the flow of surrender, the current. And it's just about being carried by grace, being available for grace and being carried by grace. Mm. Mm. Just to be here. The revelation of love, the revelation of light, of the glory is in the innermost being, in the innermost sense of presence, in the deep resting. Mm. In order to truly celebrate the uniqueness, it's as if we have to recognize the belonging to God and glory, to recognize the unified field, that there is only one. And it is out of the knowing of the one that the uniqueness can be truly celebrated, instead of the uniqueness being a sense of character and personal individuality that divides and limits. And so we offer the sense of the personal, the character, the island. We offer all that we have believed ourselves to be to the one. We make our allegiance with the light, with God and glory. We make our allegiance with presence, with truth, whatever words resonate, but we make our allegiance in the heart, following the longing, following that which is calling us, the deep silent whisper, the still small voice that is calling us to open to the resonant remembrance and the deepest truth, in order to access the true and full capacity of our consciousness, to really be able to receive the invitation of life, to live in celebration of our uniqueness, to live in absolute unquestionable knowing of our innate goodness, that we are made in the likeness of God and glory, and that in a way life is is celebration, life is flow, life is joy, life is delight, is awe and wonder, life is beauty. And that as we open to the true essence, nature, and the fullness of our own flowering, we open to the light that we are made of. We open to the love that we are, and we really open to recognize the incredible intelligence of the technology of what we are. That even includes, yes, includes the mind and the body. But when seen from a true perspective, we recognize that we are wired as an instrument of God and grace and glory. And that this human life is this incredible opportunity to know the fullness of what we are, to illuminate and see through the karmic obscurations, to recognize the natural, unbounded, infinite, timeless being that we are right here now. That we open to the pristine, immaculate, untouched revelation that carries us out of the belief in separation and all of the ways that we make ourselves wrong. There's something wrong with me. I've done something wrong. There's something wrong with this life. All of the ways that we are holding guilt and shame and doubt and identified with that as our identity, instead of claiming our identity in God, instead of claiming our identity as light, as love. And such an important part of this is that it's not a process in time of fixing and changing. It's not a misconceived idea of healing. It's about the immediacy of now and the revelation that is just alive and awake in the heart, and recognizing in the still, silent presence of now the revelation that is here, the revelation that is yours, the revelation that is ours, what we are wired for, the intelligence of what the light of consciousness truly is. So just resting as the wide awake, open field of presence, not needing to understand, and yet noticing that the intelligence of the consciousness that you are made of recognizes itself and starts to attune and resonate at a frequency that feels like a knowing, feels like a familiar knowing, the heart's knowing, the knowing of the being, in just simply being here. The presence itself presents itself as a natural field of knowing. We could call this awareness, a field of awareness that is awake and aware of itself. And just simply being itself. We recognize that the deepest longing of every heart is to know the fullness, know the brilliance and radiance, to feel the unquestionable belonging that isn't a belonging to something, but a deep, resonant sense of wholeness, a deep, resonant sense of not lacking or missing anything. And when we stop looking for things, objects out there to fulfill us, we open to this glorious possibility of discovering the resonant frequency of wholeness in the simplicity of being. And then we open to this capacity to be able to illuminate and receive all of the threads and fibers of our natural being multidimensionally, being able to include, receive, and reveal the love that is the true essence nature of everything. That we open through the awake awareness of consciousness to reveal the intelligence, the technology that has the capacity to reveal, to illuminate, to truly see as the awake awareness, the true seer that sees itself and sees itself in everything, in everyone, sees that essence of the one in everything. That collapses the seeming boundaries, collapses the seeming edges, and reveals a deep knowing of the heart, of the unified field, of the true essence nature, of God and glory, a field of silence, a field of transmission and grace and activation, attunement, where the intelligence itself is moving within itself to bring the wisdom light into the heart in a deep remembrance, deep resonant remembrance. So just resting here, and what is happening now? As the words come, nothing to understand, just to notice. And in this moment, just resting. What is happening now? As we drop into the silence, into the stillness, the natural, awake, aware capacity of the intelligence of consciousness comes online, and the knowing of the heart in just simply being is here, now, open, naturally deep in the knowing of itself. And it is in this deep, natural knowing that we have this capacity to look upon the life with a neutral equanimity, with an openness, with a receptivity, to look upon the life and to illuminate and see anything that feels to be discordant. And just in illuminating any seeming discordance in the field, just by seeing it, it's like a reconnection that shifts the frequency through transmutation, calls the repressed and unconscious holding patterns that are discordant patterns of consciousness into the light, where the reorganization can happen, where everything that feels to be discordant and outside of love can meet itself in a presence that sees it so clearly as only itself and allows that opening, transmutation, and revealment of the true essence nature, that the light and the love reveals the light and the love that is present in absolutely everything. So as we look upon the field, this ability to see, it's not an ability to understand. It operates in the feeling, sensing field. It operates in this natural and simple inquiry where we just recognize what's here, what's happening now. And in the feeling, sensing field, to just be able to notice where there is discordance in the field, feelings of tension or stress or pervasive thoughts, protections, conditionings. And in a way, the brilliance of the light of our true nature and the true knowing of the heart is inviting everything that we can be hanging on to as a protection, as a conditioning, as an idea, as a belief, to come forward and to reveal itself as love, to reveal itself out of the guilt and the shame and the limitation and doubt, to reveal the true essence nature, that everything is looking for its source, everything, everything, all that we are is looking for its source, is looking to know itself in God and glory, looking to know itself in the light. It's obvious, right, that the reason that we find certain things challenging and intense is because those places are messengers. They're messengers that are inviting us to meet ourselves more deeply, to be so present with and to everything that feels to be discordant in the field, and to be the presence of light that can illuminate, the love that embraces, receives and holds and reveals the true nature of everything as being one seamless whole, that there's no division in life. And as we open to the depth and expansive boundlessness of the infinite field, we also have this capacity to open to the depth of heart, to actually be an embodiment of love, to know the love that we are. And in that, to be so kind and so patient and compassionate with our own self. That the natural technology of love is to embrace, to include, to receive, is patience, kindness, and this gentle holding, because love, seeing only love, love not seeing an issue, a problem, a wounding, a broken being. Love is not seeing the stories that we have about ourselves. Love is only seeing itself. And so the true natural technology of love is just to embrace, just to see itself. And in seeing itself, has this incredible capacity to reveal itself immediately in everything, to shift the frequency from fear, guilt, shame, and holding to a frequency of openness and unconditional, receptive, welcoming, that reveals the oneness, reveals the balance and harmony that is the unified field. So as these words come, just to be with what you are uniquely noticing, right? That we are one in God and glory. We are one in essence, fabric, substance. And yet we have a unique experience. And it's about recognizing that sense of deep connection to source and joining as the one field that allows the revelation and celebration and absolute openness to receive all that we are, just as we are, to not be looking to create moods or fixing and changing. We move out of these ideas that I'm broken and I need fixing, to realize that that is aligned with the frequency of guilt and shame, the frequency that there is something wrong here with me, that I am bad, that I am not good. And everything in life is conspiring to reveal the goodness that we are in our true nature, and to reveal and resonate at the frequency of knowing goodness is to know the one and to be living in this revelation. And the revelation is a constant revelation. It's a fresh, living revelation. It's always now. It's always right now. The living revelation, the glorious celebration, it's always now. Mm-hmm. So again, just resting and noticing what is happening uniquely in your direct experience right now. Everything that is moving is a great glorious invitation to know yourself more deeply through whatever is arising, to receive the graced opportunity to meet yourself, to not need to create moods, but to be so deeply real and honest with yourself in this moment, so that the relaxation into presence is deeper than you have ever known. And in this deep relaxation, we join as one field where the nourishment is divine and the nourishment is flowing. Receive the divine nourishment. Be infused. Allow the attunement and activation in this transmission field where you recognize the resonance of remembrance. This is where the alive knowing, the alive knowing of the heart, is meeting itself, knowing itself, being itself. What is alive in the field is like a longing for divine nourishment. To feel nourished, to feel held, to feel whole. Everything shifts in the life when we can drop into the resonant knowing and be divinely nourished. That whatever seems to be playing on the surface of life, whatever seems to feel discordant, challenging, confusing, chaotic, when we can drop into the sanctuary of the heart's knowing and be divinely nourished, it's like we enter the fullness of reality. We join with the knowing of the field of light, the intelligence of what we are, and we then have this capacity to look upon life from a perspective that doesn't divide, but from a perspective that welcomes and includes, from a perspective that isn't projecting and blaming, but a perspective that is open to receive the reflection that life is offering. And through this means, we have this possibility to be guided by the grace and glory of life and the intelligence of life to discover the wholeness, the fullness, and the great glorious truth of who we are. And to then be in this incredible celebration, to discover the joy and delight that is the true nature, to really be a heart of living glory, to be a heart of light. What we are longing for, what we share in our human lived experience is a longing to be in the knowing of this wholeness, to stop feeling a sense of discordance and lack. And in a way, it's more about revealing that the sense of lack is not actually lacking anything. That as long as we believe we are lacking, that is a sign of division and limitation and separation, and somehow a deep belief that it's possible to be divided from God and glory, that it's possible to be divided from love. And so we realize that everything, the whole play of our human life is conspiring to bring us exactly what we are longing for, that absolute unquestionable knowing of wholeness. To know our wholeness is not about getting away from anything. It's about fully embracing and engaging and receiving the grace of life, the reflection that life is offering, in order to reveal to us what we would otherwise be blind to. And when we know the sanctuary of the true essence nature, it's like a superpower that we can drop into divine nourishment, into the stillness, into the silence. And here we can just wait and look upon the life. We can feel and sense and allow the transmutation to naturally happen as a magical intelligence, a wisdom that knows. And we realize that there's nothing to do, nothing to fix or change, and that it's all about surrendering into the current and actually being carried. And when we are not fixated upon this idea that there's something wrong with me, or I've done something wrong, or I'm bad, or I need to prove myself, I need to be seen, I need to be validated, if we're not fixated upon this project of trying to be seen and validated, we actually drop into a depth of presence where we discover a kind of validation and a seeing that happens within our very own heart, that we realize that our own presence in God and glory validates us and sees us and loves us in a way that we couldn't possibly have imagined when we're caught in that complex of trying to receive it through relational dynamics and through experience and looking to objects of the world to try to get that missing piece of the puzzle, to try to quench that sense of lack, right? We come to realize that I am the missing piece of the puzzle, right? This is really important and very subtle and profound. I am the missing piece of the puzzle. That the I am presence and the knowing of yourself and realizing that I am the missing piece of the puzzle, knowing myself, accepting, receiving, and including all of myself is the missing piece. That I am the one that is absent here, and I am the one that I'm waiting for to show up. And as we drop into the deep, still, silent presence of being and the simple attunement to our natural essence nature, we come to a sense of a fulfillment of the longing, because it's as if we're showing up in full presence for our very own self, in our very own life, multidimensionally. And it's this revelation of, oh, such a depth of presence that here I am. Here I am. And what is this I that I am? And we claim our true identity in God and glory. We claim our true identity as the one self, as love, as peace. And we recognize that the freedom that the heart is longing for isn't out there. And it's not over there in the future on my spiritual journey when I'm finally ready. It's right here now in the still, silent presence of the heart. The revelation is already done. The revelation is already revealed, we could say. And it's just about being still, silent, and deep enough to recognize it, and then to allow that revelation to be the presence of the light that illuminates all of the threads and fibers of the life and brings every single fiber of what we are into the presence of now, into a glorious, receptive, all-inclusive, all-encompassing field of love and transmission, receiving our own wholeness just as we are. That it's not about when I've fixed this, when I've fixed that, when I have healed this. It's about receiving the glory in the heart right now. Making the allegiance with love. And when we make the allegiance with love, by recognizing that searching and looking in objects, things, and experiences, or hiding in protection and conditioning, doesn't bring us to the sense of God and glory and celebration and freedom that we are longing for. So just to be here and notice what is being noticed, what is happening in your unique, direct experience right now. Direct experience is not the experience of me. Direct experience is the natural noticing and awake awareness of what is happening now. Just being awake and aware and just looking upon yourself with total open receptivity, receiving yourself